In today's lesson, we're going to talk about something called patterns. Now, as you move forward in your mathematical career, being able to recognize patterns can be very useful. So let's have a look at a few visual patterns to start. I have a series of circles, and you'll notice that they have a certain color. So what is the very last circle? Well, let's look at this pattern. We have 2 red and 1 yellow, 2 red and 1 yellow. So you would expect that the next set should be 2 red and 1 yellow. And indeed it is. And that is the whole thing about patterns. It's something that repeats. So what shape should come next? Because we could have colors or shapes. It's not just one thing. So we have a series of arrows. And so what happened with this first arrow? Well, you can see it moved and then it rotated. It moves and it rotates. So our next arrow is going to move and it rotates. Now, it's always rotating to the right. And there's our last figure. Well, what is the next shape here? We have 5 boxes, and you'll notice something interesting. 1 dot, 2 dots, and then those dots are joined. 1 dot, 2 dots, so the next one should have joined dots. So that's the next one, but what are the next 3 figures? And you'll notice the dot moved from this corner to this corner, and that it happens when you have a rotation. Same with these 2 dots, they rotated and they ended up on the right-hand side. So you would expect that the next 3 would also be rotated, and you can see the dot moves from this corner to this corner to this corner, and then we're going to have 2 dots, and then we're going to have them joined. So there is your 9 shapes with this pattern. So what number comes next? Here we have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. What is the next one? Well, the question you need to ask yourself is, how are these numbers related? And I think you probably have noticed that we have added 2 each time to get the next number. So 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 7 is 5 plus 2 is 7, and 7 plus 2 is 9. So you would expect to get this number over here, we would have to add 2. So 9 plus 2 is indeed 11. So now in this set of numbers, what comes next? It's not always easy to just pick out what the pattern is. So how did we get from 1 to 2, from 2 to 4, from 4 to 7, and so on? Well, from 1 to 2 we added 1, then we added 2, then we added 3, and then we added 4. So we can see that when we added, we actually have the pattern in the addition part. So we would expect that the next number would be found by adding 5. So 11 plus 5 is 16. How about this pattern? We have 3, 6, 12, 24, 48. What should come next? Well, you might notice 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 6 is 12, and so on. So we would expect that our very last number we should get by 48 plus 48, which would give us 96. Now, patterns do not always follow addition. Sometimes, and some of you may have already figured this out, we could simply take 3, multiply it by 2 to get 6. 6 times 2 will give us 12. 12 times 2 will give us 24. 24 times 2 will give us 48. And 48 times 2 will give us 96. Let's have a look at this set of shapes, and you tell me what comes next. Well, I have 4 here, and I want to know what the 5th one is, but you have to notice that there's 2 things going on here. The first thing that I'm sure you noticed right away was that we have alternating colors. Orange, green, and so you would expect that the next color is going to be orange, and indeed it is. But what's the second thing that's going on? Well, we have different numbers of sides. So how many sides do we have? Well, 3, 5, 4, and 6. So what should the next one have? That doesn't look like a regular sort of pattern. So let's see, how did we get from 3 to 5? Well, we added 2. 5 to 4, we subtracted 1. 4 to 6, we added 2. Sounds to me like we've got a pattern going on here. So based on this, we would expect that our next shape is we're going to have to subtract 1. So 6 subtract 1 means that we're going to have 5 sides. And we're going to draw a 5-sided figure, and it's going to be orange. And that is your lesson on patterns.